So a while back I did a series on modern day travel filmmaking and I've gotten a lot of positive feedbacks from you guys. A lot of you have learned a lot and some of you have even shared with me your own travel vlogs as a result of my videos. However, there was one common question that I see repeatedly in the comment sections, and that is, do you really need an expensive setup to make something awesome? Yeah. No, it could simply be a phone, or it could be an action camera, or even a 360 camera. Last month, Vivian and I collabed with Team Atola Visuals, Kitty and Brian, and made a Chicago travel video with the Insta360 One X. You can catch the full video linked up here. This is a $400 device with built-in stabilization, and you can do some pretty neat things with it when you stick it on a selfie stick. Seriously, it's all you need. Smells like a sponsorship. Yes, Insta360 is sponsoring, so apologies in advance if this sounds a little advertising, but I'll tell you what, even if you don't get this camera, you'll still learn a lot about how we planned, executed, and failed our travel video. Okay, not really failed, but you'll see how we overcame a few challenges. I'll also show you how to get shots with your non-360 camera, but you'll see throughout this video that devices like these are designed to make your life so much easier when it comes to getting dope shots. So, step one, figure out your story and start pre-planning your locations. By having a story in mind, it will help you focus on what you want and need to shoot. For example, is this your first time in the country? Are you looking to show off some of the best food? Are you trying to document your stay at different hostels? Are you there for a specific event? Really pinpoint something specific so you don't waste your time shooting things unrelated to your story and not be able to enjoy yourself while you travel. You can definitely deviate from your intentions as long as you're having fun. But for the most part, unrelated scenes can make for great transitional pieces, but only capture a few seconds of it and then move on. Luckily for us, our story in Chicago relies heavily on locations. Me and Vivian were playing tourists in Kitty's hometown, and she wanted to show us around in the city that she grew up in and missed very much. Kitty knows where to go and she knows what to do, but in case you don't have your own tour guide at your destination, start researching some of the top spots. For us, Chicago is known for the bean, the architecture, the theater, and LSD. Oh wait, Kitty already made that joke. Now, it's really tricky when we plan travel videos because we aren't really there to see it in person. Even though Kitty lived there before, it's still really hard to plan out and envision shots. But by having a list of locations in mind at least, and with the help of Google Maps, we can start to think about what types of shots to get and techniques to perform. But before that, we need a shot list. After you figure out your story and know what you'll be focusing on, step two, know your gear. Know what you're going to be bringing and bring the right ones for the job. Is it one camera, couple lenses, slider, gimbal, tripod? I'll tell you now, the less you bring, the better. Your back will thank you for it. Next, figure out some of the possibilities and even the limitations of your gear so that you can better plan out your shots. Are we gonna be handheld most of the time? Do we need a gimbal? Are the subject that we need to focus on super far away? Are we gonna be shooting a lot in low light? And this would also be the time to start thinking about in-camera transitions. Are you planning on doing whip pans, covering the cameras, tossing the camera into the sea? Just having an idea of what you're going to be doing at some of these locations will help a lot, even if the shot that you perform at the spot ends up entirely different than what you originally intended. With the Insta360 One X, we can do orbital hyperlapses, fake drone shots, a dolly zoom, bullet time, and miniature world. So we're gonna be focusing on getting these types of 360 shots because the way that they are made is sort of unique to this camera. You see, 360 cameras is different from our typical cameras where the view is only limited to what's in front. So we never really have to worry about framing because everything is always in frame. So be careful not to start picking your nose when your friend with a 360 cam is rolling. I hope that footage doesn't show up in Kitty's video or the official Insta360 video. So, how do we apply some of these cool features to our shot? Because we have some locations in mind already, we can start thinking of ways to shoot it. Let's start off with the bean. This would be a cool spot to do a orbital hyperlapse. Plus, we can shoot our A-roll or the intro of our vlog there because it's iconic enough for viewers to recognize, hey, they're in Chicago. Next, the architecture. The best way to see all the wonders of Chicago architecture is by taking a boat ride. Wouldn't it be cool to poke our cameras out of the boat to get a 360 perspective of the buildings and us on the boat? The miniature world feature would be great here, and sunset would be the perfect time to get the boat shot. Millennium Park has fantastic arches over their lawn. Great place to get a fake drone shot. Chicago is pretty rich in art, so we gotta hit up the museums. Maybe a quick hyperlapse of us going in and out. That'd be pretty cool. Chicago is known for trains running throughout the city, so we can definitely do something with that. Not sure what yet, but we've allotted some time to ourselves to be creative on the spot. And finally, Chicago Theater, incredibly iconic. We definitely gotta do something out there at night when the lights are up. Even though the 360 camera has a smaller sensor, with the lights being so bright, we shouldn't have to worry too much about noise. Now moving on really quickly to step 3, be mindful of the time of day of when you will shoot. We had about 3 days to shoot, so we had to optimize a lot of the locations and the time that we would be there for. Early morning is the best for outdoor stuff because there's usually little to no crowd and the lighting wouldn't be too harsh compared to shooting midday during high noon. We're not really morning people, so we opt for just one early morning shoot, which would be the Bean, because we know for a fact that the Bean will be super crowded during the day. During high noon, we would be indoors exclusively, so museum and restaurants. For more outdoor scenes, sunset will always look fire. But keep in mind, there will be a lot of people, so you kind of have to pick and choose your battle. On top of that, we had to deal with a lot of unexpected events, which we're gonna go over in step 4. Expect your plans to fail. Everything we just planned earlier, 80% of them did not work out the way that we wanted to. The museum, under construction. The boat ride, the crew said we were obstructing their view. Millennium Park, grass lawn was closed because of the rain. Oh yeah, the rain. It rained in Chicago. Droplets showed up in our footage. And of all days, the city chose to wash the Bean the morning we decided to go get the shot. Every day we had new issues to deal with, and it really bummed us out because anytime we were met with an obstacle, it's really hard not to feel we're letting Insta360 down, that we're letting ourselves down. And of course, we feel like we're letting you guys down because we really want to make an awesome, kick-ass video for all of us to enjoy. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Step 5. If the plan fails, it's just another opportunity for us to be creative. Just don't expect perfection. At the end of the day, we're just out there to have fun. We always have to remind ourselves that we're a group of friends, we got each other, and we're gonna power through the struggles together, as cheesy as that sounds. So every time we came across an obstacle, we would find our ways to work around it. We know what features we gotta use, so we just gotta apply them, just a little differently or come up with something entirely new. The museum might be under construction, but upon exploring around, we figured out we could just hyperlapse everything in it. The Millennium Park lawn closed off, we were still able to get a couple of great shots and spin out this sick transition. The Bean was being washed. Well, you know what? You can't really see it once you speed it up, so maybe it's okay. Maybe you'll see a little bit of it, but it's okay. Remind yourself that a lot of issues can be overcome. It may not be apparent at first, but just be on your feet. Do what you can, and maybe in post you'll be able to salvage something cool. In our case, it took us a month later when we finally reviewed the footage that we're like, not bad. So, step 6. Let's go over some of these behind the scenes shots together. Hyperlapses, super standard stuff. Quite possibly overrated on YouTube, but nonetheless super cool, and they can make for great transitions from one scene to another. To make this without a 360 camera, it's gonna take you quite a bit of work. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there on this already, but in summary, what you would do is pull up the grids on your camera, find the center point of the subject that you want to focus on, align it with your grid, and simply take a photo for every step you take. So click step 1, click step 2, click step 3. The more photos and frames that you have, the smoother it will look. Now, make sure your white balance and exposure are locked down, or else you'll get some weird flickering effect. You could end up taking hundreds of photos, so I would recommend shooting in JPEG. You would then drag your photos, once they're done, into the editing software and set them as one frame each to animate them. Throw in some warp stabilization to smooth out the jitters. Again, Insta360 makes this process super easy. I just have to point out my camera and it's done. Okay, maybe one more step via the app. All we have to do is just select the center point and we have a hyperlapse. Orbital hyperlapses. Kind of the same deal. It would be easy if you have a gimbal if you're using a non-360 camera. Just keep the beam at the center and walk around it. Try to keep the same radius distance. Then in post, you simply just speed it up with some warp stabilization. But with the Insta360 though, we just went around the beam, pulled up the app, and we're done. We never had to worry about shakiness of our footage because the One X has flow state stabilization, which is their fancy way of saying it has built-in stabilization. By the way, for more in-depth tutorials on how to work the app to get these shots, Insta360 has them directly in the app or on their YouTube channel. Next, a fake drone shot. Easy with a gimbal and a small monopod. You simply start low, walk briskly, and raise the camera up. With the Insta360, no gimbals needed. Just use an extended selfie stick, perform the same movement, amp it up, and we're done. And the shots that we made with the Insta360 One X can be converted to miniature worlds as well, so we can recycle a lot of the footage, but make them look like they're uniquely different shots. And finally, step 7, the final video doesn't have to be too long. I often see travel videos that are super drawn out because they wanted to show every aspect of their trips. So the video ended up being like 10+ minute long of shoddy footage. The resulting video can be as short as 1 to 2 minutes. Just put together some of the best clips in tune with your favorite song. Or if your video has a narrative, it can definitely be a little bit longer. Aside from that, we simply had a lot of fun experimenting with the Insta360 One X because filming with it is still so new to us. We just kept finding things to try and shoot, literally having no idea how it would turn out. And since it's so small, we literally stuck it in whatever hose we can find. I realized what I said, and no, I'm not editing that out because I didn't mean it like that. But yeah, experiment and go have fun. Again, to see the final version of our video, go to Kitty's channel at Atola Visuals. If you want to learn more about the potential of the One X, go to Insta360 channel. And if you want to get your own 360 camera, they are running a promotion on their creator kit right now. Links in the description box below. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.